Hey, everybody, got a great question, and that was, how do I create a watermark in Photoshop so I can apply this over numerous images over time? So what I'm going to do is show you that we can actually create a watermark with text. We can do watermarks with an image, like a logo of yours, or we can do one with text and an image. And for a bonus, how about creating an action? So that's all I have to do is hit a single key on my keyboard and it applies that watermark to my image. Are we ready for this? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. Hopefully you had a great one and a safe one. And I cannot believe we are into 2025. All right, if you're new to the channel, this is dedicated to photography, the philosophy of photography, and as a photo artist, pushing yourself out there creatively. And let's take a look at a question or issue that came up. Actually, it was a question, and that was, hey, how would I create a watermark that I can apply to my images? And is it possible in Photoshop? And the answer was yeah, but what is a popular technique? So we're going to dive into this right now. And let's first of all talk about, well, why would you need a watermark to begin with? Well, typically it's for people that want to sell their images or prints online, and they don't want people stealing a copy of it through their browser or whatever, and maybe upscaling it and stuff like that. So they put a watermarks across that, and it makes it very difficult, even with AI. I mean, I've tried it, and it's just really junky. And plus, you want to have a low-res image on top of that. But what I'd like to do as a bonus at the end here is after I show you how to create a watermark, and we're going to do it 3 different ways. We'll do it with text, we'll do it with an image, and then we will do it with text and an image. But I'd like to create an action. So that's all I have to do is hit a key on my keyboard and it'll apply it to my images. So if we're ready for this, let's dive into Photoshop. Okay, to start with, I need something to work with. So let me open up. And I'm going to open up these 3 images right here. And I'll talk about these images in more in depth a little bit later. And this is the image. This is actually an unfinished project. This is for a client. This is actually Kendra, and she is a model. She came out with a movie called Driftwood, Halloween of 2024. She's in a movie coming out in May of 2025. I don't know what it's about because I was not allowed to hear what it was about, but she's been flying to New York from Ann Arbor, Michigan, for the filming of this upcoming movie. So I'm going to use this as a proof. Let's say it's a client. I have to have them validate, before this goes to print. And I don't want to hand somebody an image that they might just steal or take or whatever. So I want to protect that. This image right here, I'll come back to a little bit later. I'm going to show a bonus. And this is a different image that we might apply to after we create our action to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We're going to work on this image. Now, the first thing I need to do is I need to create a pattern. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'd like to open up the pattern dialog box. So what you would do is go to the window drop-down menu right here in Photoshop and come down to a category here called patterns. And when you choose that, that should open up the dialog box right over here on the far right. So this is where you have some already patterns, built into Photoshop, but we're going to create our own. So to do that, I'm going to go to File drop-down menu, choose New, or you can just do Control-N or Command-N as a shortcut keystroke on a Mac, and you'll get this dialog box. And what I'm going to do over here is set my parameters. And so what I want to do is I want to change this to pixels, and I like to use a width of 500 and a height of 500. So I'll type that in. Resolution 300, that's great. And then what I want to do down here, by default, it's set to white as your background. I'm not going to do that. I need to change this to transparent. So I'm going to choose transparent right there and choose create. So this is where we're going to create our pattern. Now, to help out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with a pattern that's just text. And if I choose the type tool or T on my keyboard right here to grab that, it's going to be white. I want it to be white. And I'm just going to click in here and I'm going to type in a little phrase or something. You know what? I'm just going to do photo artist. And then just click on the thumbnail there to accept that. Now it's hard to see, so I'm going to do this temporarily. I'm going to add a solid color here. And black is fine. I just need a solid color. I'm going to push this down. So now I can see my design a little bit better. So I'm going to do a Control-T or Command-T on a Mac to activate my free transform tool. Let's reposition that. And I might want to stretch that out a little bit. So let me push this down like this. And again, it's your design, but I'm just going to choose Enter on the keyboard to accept that. And now I don't need the black area anymore for designing this, so I'm just going to trash that in the garbage can here. So you can hit the delete key or just hit the garbage can right there, and it will remove that layer. Okay, now a little tip here, and hopefully this shows up. If you want to preview what this pattern looks like, you go to the View drop-down menu here on your toolbar, come about halfway down to something called Pattern Preview. And then this will show you, just click on OK, this will show you what your pattern is going to look like. So I can see as I'm scrolling up and down, this is what the pattern is going to be. Then I just go back to View drop-down menu, come down to the Pattern Preview to turn that off. Okay, so this is the pattern. Now we haven't saved it yet, we're just designing it. So what we need to do is go to the Edit drop-down menu right here and come down maybe about 2/3 of the way down, and it says Define Pattern. And then you would just call it whatever you want. I'll just call it Watermark. Be nice if I had a W in there. Got to learn how to spell. There we go, Watermark. Now I'm going to click on OK to accept that. And what that will do is it put that watermark right here in the palette called Patterns right there. So now if I want to use that on an image, let me close out of this. I don't need that pattern anymore. So I'm not going to save that. And I just open up an image. And to apply that, that's all I have to do is come over here, click and drag, drop that in, and there's my pattern. And now I could do this. I could double click on the pattern right here. And I'm going to make this in this dialog box about a 45-degree angle. Click on OK. And I'm just going to tap on the number 5 on my keyboard, and that will make my opacity change to about 50%. And then there is my pattern. Now, again, if I double click here, I can also change the size. So as I move this, you can see the size change, make it smaller. I mean, that's all up to you. So that was at 100% before, but you got the idea. So you can modify that because the size of your images are going to vary. So you just created a pattern and you can apply that. So that's the pattern was built using text. So let's do another pattern. So I'm going to get rid of that. And let's create another one. And this one will be with an image or maybe your logo or something. So you're going to have some kind of program, maybe in Photoshop, you design something and you want to make sure it's a transparent image. So as an example, I'm going to start again. I'm just going to do Control-N, like in Nancy, Command-N on a Mac. And it should remember my last thing I did. So 500, 500, 300 res, transparent background, click on Create. Okay, so I'm going to drop in the logo there, and that should be right here. Now, this was a bit of a joke with my grandson and granddaughter. They called me Grandude years ago, and it's sort of a nickname I've been adapted to. And we were goofing around with my camera and sort of came up with this. Anyhow, a lot of times when I do images of them, I'll hide that logo somewhere real small in the image. But I want to use this now for the watermark. So just a little trick here. I need this all to be white, but it's black. And white is better to be used as a watermark. So if I hold the Control key down, that would be Option on a Mac, no, let's see, Control, I did Command on a Mac. So I'm holding the Control key down. I believe it's Command on a Mac, and I'm going to click on the layer right here. So when I do that, it selects all the pixels it sees on that layer for me. Now that I have that set, if I do Control Delete, I made everything white. I filled it with white. Now, a long way of doing that would go to the Edit drop-down menu and come down to Fill, and you could have chosen in the drop-down menu to fill that with white. But I'm going to cancel that because I already got it filled in. And I'm just going to do Control D or Command D on a Mac. That will get rid of the marching ants right there. And what I want to do is take this now and grab it and click and drag and take it to this area right here where I'm creating my, say, custom pattern. Control T on the keyboard. I want to resize this. Doesn't need to be that big. Push this down here. Maybe make that a little bit smaller. And enter the keyboard. Now, I know it's hard to see, but that's an example of, well, maybe come over here. We don't need that. Delete that. And let's, just so you guys can see this, put that below. So there you can see the logo right there. But I don't need that for my pattern, so I'm just going to delete that. So it's there. Trust me, it's probably hard to see that. I'm turning it on and off. Probably hard to see that on the video. But with that selected, if I go to, again, View dropdown and come down to Pattern Preview. Click on OK. And again, it's hard to see that, but there's my pattern. Great. I like it. So View drop-down menu, need to turn that off right there. So now that all I have to do is, with this selected now and created, I'm going to go to the Edit drop-down menu, come down and choose, again, Define Pattern. And I'll just call it Watermark -2. This is the second one. Oops, I don't know why I keep double clicking on the T. Okay, so Watermark 2, click on OK. So now you can see over here on the far right, I've created another pattern with a different name. So I don't need this again, so I'm going to close out of that. And we don't need that. So I'm going to say no. Oops, wrong thing. Meant to close that. Okay, so let's go back to the open dialog box and let's pick up this image again. And then that's all I'm going to do is take this, click and drag it on to the image. There's the pattern. And again, I could go and double click here, push this at a 45-degree angle or close to it. Click on OK, and maybe tap on the number 5 on my keyboard. That makes it 50% opacity. And again, I can do the same thing. Double click, and if I need to, based on the size of my image, I can make this bigger. I can make this smaller. Okay, so that is pattern number 2. So we can delete that, don't need that. And we're going to create one more, and that is a combination of text and the image. And then after I get done with that and test it out, then I'm going to create an action. So that's all I have to do is hit one button, and it applies a pattern to our images. So let's start again by going to, I'll just do this the long way, File drop-down menu, come down to, again, New, so File New. Should remember what I worked on last time, so 500 by 500, 300 resolution, transparent, click on Create. And then again, this is where I'm going to create that new pattern. So I'm going to start out with text again. And again, it's going to be hard to see, so I think I'm going to jump over here right away. Go to the Oreo cookie dipped in milk, solid color, black is fine. And I'm going to add a new layer at the very top there. Okay, so now with the text selected, I'm just going to come in here and again, just do the same thing. Photo artist, Control T, because I just want to move it and resize this. Let's stretch this out a little bit. Oops. Yeah, we'll do something like that. And enter on the keyboard. All right, now I need to get something that I closed down. Sorry about that. So again, Control O, Command O, and I need to get the Grand Dude here. I forgot about that guy. And again, Control or Command, click on that to select all the pixels. Alt Delete on my keyboard because I see the chip color here is white. So that will fill that in, or just again, go to Edit drop-down menu, choose Fill, and choose white. Control D to deselect my marching ants. And then I'm just going to take this, click and drag it over to our pattern. So let that drop in. Control T. Want to resize this. Make this really small, like maybe something like this. And again, this could be your corporate logo or whatever you want to do. And maybe we'll just position that about right there. Okay, we'll do that right there. Okay, so now that I have that design, I don't need this layer here. So I'm going to delete the solid color black. So let's just get rid of that. And that looks fine. So if I go to, again, View drop-down menu just for a quick test, Pattern Preview, click on OK. There we go. All right, that's looking fine. Click on this to turn it off. So Pattern Preview, turn you off. Go back to Edit drop-down menu and just choose. Again, I'm just repeating this over and over again, and that is Define Pattern. We'll call that Watermark -3. Hey, and I spelled it correct this time. Yay. And click on OK. Now that it's done, we've created the pattern. I can close out of this. I don't need it no more. And yes, Grand Dude, you're gone. Don't need you anymore. So we'll close you out. And let's apply this to this image right here. And that is, again, click and drag to drop that in. There it is. And you can actually see there's the logo. So again, if I double click on the layer here, and I'm going to put this on an angle. And you don't have to do this on an angle, but I find most people like to have their watermarks on an angle like that. And you can change the size. Let me zoom in on this a bit so we'll make this bigger so you can actually see that there's the logo, the Grand Dude logo, along with the text. So you can do a little bit more, creative watermarks, and then click on Done, and we are finished. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I just want to reiterate what we just did here, or review what we just did, and that is I created 3 patterns. One was 100% text. The other one was 100% an image or logo that you might want to use. And then the third one was a combo. And that is using, both text and, a logo or image. So if you want to do something a little bit more creative, there you go. Okay, now I'm a lazy person. And if I've got images I'm going to periodically open up and I want to apply a watermark and I'm going to save it as a low-res JPEG or something to send to a client to have it proofed and before they sign off on the image and that, I just would like to hit a keystroke to do that. So I want to create an action. So this is a little bit of a bonus. Very easy. So what I'm going to do is, if you don't have that open, I have it right here to activate my palette to open up for actions. But it would be under Window drop-down menu. You can see right there is Action. So if it's not activated, just go there to activate that panel. Now I'm just going to go to this folder here. And what I'm going to do is create a new set. So I'm just going to call it My Set, because maybe I'm going to do a whole bunch of different actions or something. So I'll just call it My Set and turn the keyboard. Now that that is selected, I'm going to come down here where the little plus is at, and it basically is telling you, okay, let's create a new action. It's like turning a tape recorder on. I click on that, give it a name. I'll just call it Watermark. And it's in the My Set folder. Let's add a keystroke. So I'm going to go to the drop-down menu, and I'll just choose F3. If I choose F3 and it's been used with a previous action, it would force it to be F3 with a shift. And if that exists, then it's going to be function of the keystroke F3 with control. And if that exists, it's going to be F3, shift, and control. I like simple things. I try to avoid that if possible, but so I can remember F3 really easy. I don't need to worry about color coding. That's fine. So I just click on record. So I'm like turning on the tape recorder. It's now recording. So I click on OK to accept that. And now what I'm going to do, now it's recording this, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab this pattern and I'm going to click and drag to drop that in. So again, it's recording what I'm doing. Now I'm going to double click to open up the dialog box. I'm going to push this up to close to 45%. Doesn't have to be right on, but I'd like to have that on an angle. I click on OK to accept that. And here's the key thing. I want to tap on the number 5. It changes my opacity. It will record that. A lot of times if you manually go there to change stuff, it won't record that opacity. So by tapping on 5, it made it 50%. And now I'm done. If I go back to my action panel over here, to reopen it up, I'm going to come over here and say stop recording that action. So I just click on the stop button right there, and I'm finished. And so there we can see that my action is called Watermark. It's in the My Set folder, so I can expand that. And the shortcut keystroke we see here is F3. I don't have to have this open at all. Let's get rid of this. And if you open up an image, I'm on that layer. If I tap on F3, there we go. Now, again, based on the size of the image or resolution, you still have to come back possibly to double click, and that is to rescale it. Maybe you want it bigger, maybe you want it smaller. So that you'll still have to do. But how convenient is this? Let me close out of this and let's go to a different image. So like this image right here. And again, let's make this a bit smaller so we can see the whole image. And then again, I'm just going to tap on F3, and there we go. Applied that watermark for me. So hopefully you've learned something in this process. If you have a question about this, my email address is right here at the bottom of the screen. It is stephenphotoartist@gmail.com. It's also going to be in the show notes. Also, if you could do me a favor, and that is if you learn anything or if you're totally new here, please like the video, subscribe if you have not subscribed, and hit that notification bell. Next time I upload a video, you'll get notified on that. All right, so with that out of the way, everybody enjoy a great 2025. Until next time, see ya.